this out. Okay.
We've got everyone on here. This key probably has to be plugged in.
Okay.
Power cord. Mr. Curley? I am, the mayor has my laptop and I'm gonna put your phone up to it so you can hear her. Okay? Alright, hold on.
Oh, that's because of the
Okay.
phone.
There you go.
Thank you.
You should be able to see everybody.
I can see everybody.
You don't need the mics on.
You needed it.
Turn all the mics off.
Oh, turn your mic off.
It might be my phone. Because your phone is right by the computer.
I didn't mean the mics in Zoom. I meant the mics in person in the council chambers.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Okay. Well, someone might, or someone muted me on Zoom.
It's me, sorry.
Okay.
It wasn't just you, I muted everyone temporarily.
Okay.
Okay, well, continue. Can everybody hear?
I think we're still getting a ton of feedback.
Okay, moving on. Can we do roll call, please?
Alright. Mayor Owens,
Here.
You know what? Hang on. I'm wearing a headset. Okay, is that better?
Yes. Okay, we'll start over. Can we do roll call? Mr. Fairbrother?
You're still muted. We can't hear you for some reason, Brian. You look unmuted though. Yeah, now we hear you.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Here.
Councilperson Baker,
Here.
Councilperson Curley, Councilperson DeMonico,
Here.
Councilperson Lucido.
Here.
Alright.
And go to business. And local state of emergency. Is to direct Hong Kong Department of Emergency Management and Communications, Commanding Officer Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division, Michigan State Police, District 2 North Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division Coordinator. On Tuesday, March 17, 2020, the city of Eastpointe, in accordance with Section 10 of Public Act 390 of 1976, declares a state of emergency. Let it be hereby known and reported that on this date signed the law, that the city of Eastpointe, by authorization of mayor and council, have declared a 90-day extension for this emergency. Can you call the roll for this, please? Well, I need a motion. So, okay, this declaration for state of emergency.
I'll motion to approve the declaration.
Support. Moved and supported, please call the roll.
You know, Brian, if he can mute me, because it's picking up on yours, mine, and this one here.
You should be able to mute yourself also. You can mute yourself while you're not talking.
Yeah, okay. I can go on video.
And then Brian, you're muted again. You gotta unmute yourself.
I just muted this one.
Okay.
Everyone hear me?
Now we do.
Yes.
Alright. It really is better if everyone mutes and unmutes themselves, otherwise I have to grant you permission and it's a little more difficult. Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson Baker,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley. Alright, motion passes.
Okay, next item is the approval of cost sharing agreement for road project 10 Mile Road from I-94 and Kelly Road.
I'll motion to approve the cost sharing agreement with the city of Roseville and Macomb County for the 10 Mile Road from I-94 to Kelly Road. That project, and authorize the mayor and city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
I'll support that.
Moved and supported, call the roll, please.
Okay. Can I ask one question just briefly?
Yes, sir.
Elke or Brian, I think we did confirm, right, this would be the same percentage rates that any other cities would be paying.
Yes, that's correct.
For a project like this, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Did you hear?
yes.
Okay.
Yep, she said that was correct, so, yep, that was my only question.
Okay, continue with the, we got a motion in support, please call the roll.
All right, Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Baker,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yeah.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Item C was taken off, for discussion, moving to the hearing of the public. We have anybody?
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to add an agenda item.
Okay, what would that
If
be?
we can, I think we wanted to add an item asking to postpone the council election from August, to change it to November.
Okay.
Is that correct, Ms. Doom?
Yes, it is. I have a proposed resolution here that I can certainly give to the mayor to read. I will have Brian Fairbrother weigh in as to why this request is being made by the clerk's office. Brian?
So we could add that request to be item D on our agenda?
Really, it's just moving the votes.
Since we removed item C, we're gonna use that as item C. So let me read this. Thank you, Ms. Dunn.
Is Brian on there?
And then I'm gonna change it to, turn it over to, Mr. Fairbrother, who's our assistant city manager. And so this is a resolution rescheduling a special election previously scheduled for August 4th, 2020 to November 3rd, 2020 for the purpose of electing a successor to Mayor Monique Owens, an expired city council member term. Whereas Mayor Monique Owens was elected as the mayor of the city of Eastpointe on November 5th, 2019. Whereas prior to being elected mayor of the city of Eastpointe, Monique Owens was elected to the Eastpointe City Council with a term to expire on Monday, November 8th, 2021. Whereas the charter of the city of Eastpointe, chapter 3, section 9 provides for vacancies in any elected office. Whereas the charter of the city of Eastpointe, chapter 3, section 9 specifically provides a vacancy on the Eastpointe City Council shall be filled by appointment by a majority of the city council, and that such appointee shall hold office until the next municipal election or any special election. Whereas Eastpointe City Councilmember Robert Baker was appointed by a majority of the city council on December 3rd, 2019 to fill Mayor Monique Owens' unexpired city council member term. Whereas the Eastpointe City Council previously wished to conduct a special election on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020 to fill Mayor Monique Owens' unexpired city council member term. Whereas, in light of Governor Whitmer's recent directives to combat the coronavirus, Eastpointe City Council hereby reschedules the date of the single winner city council election to be conducted using a ranked choice voting methodology from Tuesday, August 4th, 2020 to Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. Whereas the city council wishes to have Councilman Rob Baker continue to serve until such time as the newly elected city council member takes her oath of office. Continue now therefore it be resolved that a special election is rescheduled for Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, pursuant to the Eastpointe City Charter which shall be conducted in accordance with the consent decree signed by Judge Byrne in United States versus City of Eastpointe et al., providing for ranked choice voting and otherwise in accordance with Michigan election law to fill Mayor Malik Owen's unexpired city council member term. And so, then we have Ms. Doom here, and I'm gonna continue this with the assistant city manager, Mr. Fairbrother. Do you wanna talk about this a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. I apologize. I did just draft this and the attorney reviewed it. Mr. Albright reviewed it. I actually just sent it to everyone, although there are copies available in the council chambers. I respectfully request that we postpone the ranked choice voting election for a single winner city council seat and move it from August 2020 to November of 2020. I'm requesting this because of an abundance of reasons. Everything from council candidates who wish to pick up petition forms, to going door to door, to gather petition signatures, all the way to submitting those petition signatures. At this point, we have a severe shortage of staff inside the clerk's office, and although they will be called in to work at least partial time, the filing deadline is going to be on April 21st, which is just a week or two outside of what is now considered to be this lockdown period that we're in. Additionally, before we can even conduct a ranked choice voting election, we have to have our election equipment certified by both the State Board of Canvassers and the Federal Elections Commission. At this point, honestly, the State Bureau of Elections is not really responding to us, and it has nothing to do with the city of Eastpointe. It's just that they have a May election, and they're just getting over the March election, so they are kind of overwhelmed at this point. And in order to really do a good job in conducting a ranked choice voting election, I think it would be better if we postpone the election until November, as well as extended Mr. Baker's term until that time. It's unfortunate, but I think it's the best course of action.
Well, I totally agree. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Do we think? So I mean, it seems like this is going to last a long time. We've got a minimum of lockdown or stay home till a week before the deadline. I think people are still going to be wary of talking to people even in that next 3 months. I'm wondering, sounds like you've had a hard time talking to the elections department, but I imagine we're not the only people in this situation. All kinds of people are going to need signatures. Is anything going to be done at the state level on that regard? Because even moving 3 months back may not make much of a difference, at least for the candidates. Obviously, you'd have 3 more months, in terms of getting the election set up. But what do you think about all that? Unmute yourself again.
You hear me?
Yep.
All right. That's a great question, and I've seen nothing official from the Michigan Secretary of State Bureau of Election. However, I've read some newspaper articles in that they're potentially considering going to some type of all absentee voting. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, and I can't try to predict the future. I don't have a crystal ball. But at this point, I think council probably has the right to extend Mr. Baker's term and postpone this election. They also, you guys would also potentially have the right to appoint him or appoint, probably appoint anyone, but I think we're specifically talking about Mr. Baker, to fulfill the remainder of the term until November of 2021, if you so chose. At this point, I'm only requesting a postponement of the election until November of 2020. But I feel that probably either of those options would exist, although I would defer to Attorney Albright for an official legal opinion.
Yeah, Rich, if you had any comments, it'd be helpful. He's working on unmuting, I see.
Not cooperating.
No, you're not unmuted yet, Rich.
It says you cannot unmute yourself. The host muted you.
This is Brian. Brian, you need to unmute him maybe?
Yeah.
I'm looking into it right now.
I had a question, Mr. Fairbrother, and to Albright. When we appointed, Councilman Baker, it was already set for up to the time slot that we already had set in stone, right?
Meaning the August primary election?
Right.
You know, Madam Mayor, I don't recall specifically if there are any terms. I just recall that there was an election date set, but there wasn't anything official that that Mr. Baker's appointed term would conclude at that time. It was just that there would be an election at that time. What the resolution that's before the council this evening is just to postpone that election to the November election based on the COVID-19 virus and the current state of emergency that the state and city are both under, in addition to some staffing concerns that Mr. Fairbrother has with regard to having enough personnel to conduct the election, in addition to possibly hampering possible candidates who may be not inclined to run based on the virus issue.
What he was all talking, hold on, Councilman. Hold on.
Yeah, we can.
I'm sorry, here, that's right. I'm gonna lift the phone so, Councilman Curley can hear you. No, I guess the question was, when Councilman Baker, was appointed, was that term to be done in August, correct?
I believe his term was until the next election. And then the council set the election date for August of 2020. Right. So yes. So now this resolution is just postponing that election based on the COVID-19 issues that the state is currently facing to the November election.
No, I guess I'm saying when we appoint someone to a certain term, does that mean we need to open that back up to appoint someone? Now, August instead of having an election, would that open it up to people reappointing someone?
No, I believe that when someone is appointed to the city council, that person serves until there's an election conducted for that unexpired term.
Okay, so even in addition to that, you need to add Mr. Baker, do he want to continue first? Because when he was appointed, he knew when his term was.
That's a fair question. If Mr. Baker decided that he did not want to continue, say, till November, if he wanted to resign his seat, that would be his right to do so. And then the council would have to appoint someone else to that seat, and then there would be an election in November.
Mr. Councilman Crowley had a question. Sorry about that.
Unfortunately, I don't know who was talking. I know there was, didn't hear a word he said. But my question, and he may have answered it, if we go beyond November of this year, are we back in the of our church charter? And if we make that appointment till 2021, does that stick to our charter, or are we on safe grounds to do either one? And I apologize for not being able to hear the city attorney.
I believe that if the election is going to be postponed from August of 2020, it would have to be set for the next municipal election, which in this case is November.
You didn't hear anything, Councilman?
No, is anybody talking?
Yeah, he was. Can you, come on?
Madam Mayor, if you want to just repeat what I said to Mr. Councilman Curley.
Say that one more time. I'm trying to just look here, hold this, and listen to you all at the same time. Say that one more time.
My opinion that is if the election is not held in August of this year, that it would need to be held in November of this year. unless it was postponed for additional emergency reasons.
Did you hear that, Mr. Crowley?
Yes, I did. We'd have to have a legal reason to go beyond November of 2020 to November 2021.
Yes, it has to be emergency reasons. You're correct. Anything else, Mr. Crowley?
No, I just want to hear anybody else's opinion.
Okay, I'm putting you close to the speaker. If anybody has something to say, according to this?
I think I just have one brief thing. I imagine the governor is going to announce something about this because we're not the only ones in this scenario. I think personally I'd at least rather wait just a little bit longer to see if we hear something, and we could always schedule a special meeting again just because this is such a big change. We're talking about an election. I think I'd rather do that. If we need to move it, we need to move it. But I think since the governor's been announcing a lot of other things, well, as in doing this meeting remotely right now, I think that'll be addressed shortly. And I'd rather wait for that than reschedule it and then, I don't know what happened. That's just my opinion.
Anybody else want to speak on this subject?
I'm fine with rescheduling it right now. It's only prolonging it 3 months. But I mean, whatever the majority of council agrees on. My biggest concern is I don't want candidates to feel like they have to go out and get these signatures by April 21st. Because they really shouldn't be going out and getting signatures right now. They shouldn't be going door to door. And so I think that we need to try to avoid encouraging residents to do that. I think we need to encourage our residents to stay home.
Councilman?
We go by the deadline for the date for Rob trying to get signatures or anybody for the August election, and we don't act on it at all. And then it would be too late to turn in petitions. So if we're going to, I don't mind holding back on it, Cardi, but I don't think we need. I don't think I want to hold back. Well, we don't have a meeting until the second Tuesday of April. I think we're going to have to deal with it at that meeting.
Councilman Baker, you have anything to say?
Well, I think our city manager may have had something before I speak.
Have Rob unmute. We can't hear him.
You're on.
All right, well, I think before I speak, city manager had something she wanted to add, some clarity.
Okay, that's Ms. Gunn.
I think Councilmember Curley made the statement. The concern is our next meeting is canceled. We have another meeting on the 21st. Oh, how's this? Better? No? Little bit? Simply that our next scheduled council meeting is April 21st. And if we postpone this, that gives no candidate the opportunity to collect signatures in case the council decides they wish to have the August primary. So that puts all potential candidates in a real bind. First to meet the governor's orders, meet their deadlines, and not knowing if we will have an August primary. So I'm really reiterating what Councilmember Curley brought up just a few minutes ago. So that's all I have to say.
I would just say that I had no plans on resigning, but I will abstain from giving my opinion about what should be done because this is in regards to me. But I would just say officially that I had no intentions on resigning, and I will serve as long as I'm allowed to serve in the city.
Okay, any addition to this? Mr. Fairbrother?
I think you guys got it covered. The only thing I'd like to make sure I clarify is that if we do decide to postpone this we would have to have some type of special meeting prior to the 21st, because the 21st is the filing deadline. I believe it's the 21st at 4 or 5 p.m. So again, my recommendation is to postpone it until November. I just think it's the right thing for the candidates and the residents, but I will do my best to comply with however the council decides.
You said the special meeting will be for what now?
If council decided to delay action until some type of subsequent meeting.
Okay. Okay, there's one more opinion. You want to go a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
what was the resolution number?
The resolution number was, not written on here. What's the resolution number? 1902.
Hold on, I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat that again?
Sorry, 1902.
1902?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Madam Mayor, I'll motion to adopt resolution number 1902.
Can I get support? Can you repeat the motion again?
Rob, Mr. Baker, would you mind muting your? Madam Mayor, I motion.
Okay, now, say it over one more time. We can't hear you.
I motion to adopt resolution 19. Did you hear me?
No, we didn't hear you. Do it one more time. Sorry.
I motion to adopt resolution 02.
So it sounds like she's saying her motion is to adopt 1902 as written.
Yes, sir, that's what she said.
Okay. So that means that we would extend it till November of 2020. Is that what we're saying? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I would support that.
Okay, you got motion and support, please call the roll.
All right. Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson Baker,
Abstain.
I know his intention was to abstain.
Yes,
All right.
What happened?
We're still finishing the roll call.
We're not hearing you again, Brian.
Can't hear you, Brian. Mr. Fairbrother.
Councilperson DeMonico,
No.
no, and Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we're going, is there anything else anyone wants to add before we go to the hearing of the public? Going to the hearing of the public. Anyone out there would like to speak?
And I think we said there's a way to use reactions on here, or if you just put something in the chat to everyone, anyone out in the public, if you wanted to speak.
Let me see how this works. I see a down arrow.
Yeah, like I could do an example here. There's
I have,
like a thumbs up.
I have Miss Rayford, Miss Gloria, Miss Monday, sometimes iPhone, Gamer's iPad. I'm just reading the name that's coming up. Miss Bennett, but these people doesn't have to speak. They just see their names on here. So you feel free if you want to speak at this time. Anybody like to speak? Okay, hearing of the public as well.
Nope.
I'm sorry, hold on a second.
I do have one that was emailed to me, so I'll read this. Reads, Miss Doom, it was brought to my attention that the city has paid for many classes for the mayor, and she did not attend, and the city was not refunded for them classes. I believe she should be held accountable for the monies. These are taxpayer dollars she has wasted. Can you please explain this to the residents and enlighten us on this? I see you removed her airfare off the agenda. Does this mean it will be handled behind closed doors and approved without residents' knowledge? What is she doing for the city? Nothing. No one has access to her Facebook page like other members of the council and yourself. I would like to know why she is not accessible so we can see what she is doing for the city. When she was campaigning, she was accessible with pics also. Thank you. This is from Jeannie Mandel. I believe she's a resident, although she did not state specifically if she was.
Okay, anything else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I would just indicate for the record that the City Hall is open this evening to members of the public. The City Hall closed signs were removed for purposes of tonight's meeting only, and there are no members of the public in the council chambers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other information, emails from the public? Okay, none of the public call. Okay, Mayor and Council report, starting with Councilman Baker, that's to you, Clyde.
Second.
Okay, well, ultimately, I'm just gonna say I hope everyone is safe. I hope that, I know that this is a difficult time, and that I hope that we can all look out for one another, be each other's brothers, sisters, keepers. I posted in on the Facebook page a number to the crisis hotline at the request of one of the residents. So if anyone is feeling like they need to talk to someone, reach out to somebody going through this difficult time, I would just encourage that whoever that is, that you do so. Do not hesitate to do so. That's what the resources are there for. So I just hope all are well and stay safe during this time.
Thank you. Councilman Curley?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple quick things. Yes, I would repeat that ask everybody to be safe and to obey the rules. And this is something that's not gonna, I don't think, in my opinion, is gonna end by Easter. So we need to be in prayer for everybody, not only in our neighborhood and our own house, but throughout the world. And a happy note for the council, I got my Outlook fixed finally, so I can join my fellow council people in there and receive notes. So I'm happy about that. And I have 8 more days in my quarantine. I do go outside each day, and I have a 2.5-mile route that I take for a walk every day. So I'm happy about that. And this worked out really fine. Thank you very much. I don't know who thought of this, but it was great. So God bless everybody, and have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, Lucido?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. I just want to remind everyone to stay safe and pray for those who are sick and who are being affected by the coronavirus. And I would like to thank our administration for all of their hard work. I think this worked out really well today, and hopefully we might be able to do this again for our next meeting, because I think right now social distancing is definitely very important. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman DeMonico, please.
Thanks. Sure, yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I believe I saw 30 people at maximum on the call, so that's definitely the largest Zoom meeting I've had in the past 5 days under quarantine. Also, just everyone be safe, as the rest of council said. Keep doing what you're doing. If you're a healthcare worker, keep helping people, and just try to keep everyone safe. Any of the other various occupations that are, of course, out and about right now. If you don't need to be out and about, though, please stay at home so we can flatten the curve and get rid of coronavirus eventually. And yeah, I think this went pretty well. Yeah, thanks to administration again for putting this together. I think this was pretty successful. We had all 5 council members. We've got our city attorney and city manager here, and plenty of the public. So, of course, there will be things we can improve upon, but I think this was a really, really good first shot at this for sure. and I look forward to more remote meetings while we're quarantined. And that's all I had.
Thank you. Well, I want to tell everybody to continue to do what the governor has ordered us to do, to stay home and stay safe. And I'm add to that and stay prayerful, because that is the way to get all around this is Jesus. And also, I want to send a condolences to the Smith family. I grew up with this young man who died from the coronavirus this morning. I knew him for a long time. And I want to send out to his family, friends, everybody who loved him, that he will not be forgotten. And all those other people that lost their family members through this coronavirus, my prayers in the city of Eastpointe, prayers are with you to stay strong, and let this not divide us. Let this whole thing bring us more and more together, because that is what the enemy wants to see. So help your neighbor, even help someone that is your enemy, because at this moment in time, life is short, and it's too short to have enemies. So make that enemy your friend at this time. Today we had mayors come out and serve the residents with food, and we also have the superintendent who has extended services for the children and our community with food. So continuously look out for food resources that we are providing. That is an essential that the governor has allowed. So if you need to go out and get food or services from your pharmacy or things like that, that's essential needs, then step outside, or you have to get fresh air. Otherwise, stay in your house and be safe. And that will be all from the mayor. Also, if you need anything, please continue to keep connected. Watch the Facebook page. Also, our website for more updates. You can also stay contacted with our city manager, Ms. Noon, for any other questions. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Support.
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilperson Baker?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Motion passes.